Alright, so I was asked to record a video on why I get Badaglio, why instead of, other, like, why I get Badaglio, analyze some of the beginning game generals and some of that stuff. So I'll give you my take on it. I certainly don't know if it's the correct take, like if the information I'm providing you is accurate. This is how I've always done it. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So when I look to get a general, oh nice, we haven't even gotten into. When I look to get a, when I look to get a general, I look at I look at their abilities. So I look at their stars, but also you have to also look at their perks and some of that stuff. So we'll start off by looking at Badaglio. Um, so Badaglio, he is a M general. I'm dumb and didn't know what that stands for. He has 170. He gives you 170 additional health of the unit. He's got 1 star on infantry, 4 stars on artillery, 2 stars on marching, and 1 star on air force. He's got level 4 artillery leader, deals a fatal blow to the enemy when commanding artillery units, 60% chance to trigger. Artillery barrage deals 12 additional damage to the enemy when health of artillery units fall below 50. And explosive deals 16 additional damage to enemy fortress units. Alright, so let's break this down a little bit. First off, the 4 artillery stars. Awesome for a general this cheap. I don't remember how much he was, but I think he was just over 1,000. I think he's like 1,010 or something. So yeah, so first off, for a general that price, pretty good. This is a pretty good general. That the 4 stars is pretty good. Um, the perks. When we look at the perks, he's got level 4 artillery leader. This is a great perk. Deals a critical blow. 16% chance. That's the highest percent you can get. That's a great perk. Definitely one to look into. I mean, he is the guy who, he's the guy where you upgrade it from. Next perk, artillery barrage. Also a great perk. It's not necessarily something I particularly look for when I'm doing generals, but it's certainly not a bad perk. And Badaglio is 1,210 medals. So I just want to make sure I get my information correct here. So artillery barrage, also a good perk. It's really only applicable when you start losing general, health. Sorry, when you start losing health, and then explosives. This, I think, from the people that I talk with, this perk is underrated. People don't look at this perk as much as they should. I will explain. Deal 16 additional damage to enemy fortress units. And this, for some of you, might seem like a no-brainer. Cities are also fortress units. So what this means is he gets a boost when attacking cities. Why is this so important? Because when sitting in a city, troops take less damage and they gain health back. So Manstein will normally hit an artillery or an infantry unit 60, 70 damage, gone. The troop's gone. When sitting in a city, he only hits it for 30 or 40 damage. There's a big difference there. So being able to take away the health of that city faster is crucial, and it's why Manstein is such a good general. Because when you're in the open field, he crushes infantry units. When you're sitting in a city, he'll just whittle down your city a lot faster than any other unit. That is why that perk, I think it's underrated amongst people. Now, when I look at getting Badaglio, another way to think about it is, let's go up here to Moscow and let's look at Govorov. And think about Badaglio. Think back to what Badaglio looks like. So we've got 5 stars on artillery, 1 star on marching, and then you got these other stars. I don't care about them. You've got level 2 artillery leader, level 4 artillery barrage, level 2 explosives, and then level 3 planes fighting. Now, Badaglio actually gives your general more health than Govorov. I am not saying that Badaglio is a better general than Govorov. And when you look at the prices, they're only about 600 apart. So you might ask, okay, well then why not just save up more and get Govorov? Because you're not gonna go Badaglio, Govorov, Konev. I mean, I'll explain later. But when you look at Govorov compared to Badaglio, he's got the same 3 perks that Badaglio's got. Now, granted, Badaglio has level 4 of this and level 2 of this, but they've both got level 2 explosives. The reason why Govorov's better is this level 3 planes fighting. This perk is insane. The majority of the game's tiles are plane provinces, unless I'm getting that wrong. The majority of them are planes, which means that you're going to find yourself on a plane a lot more often than you're going to find yourself on just a regular, like a desert or a mountain. You're going to find yourself on a plane a lot more often, which is why it's such a crucial perk. Because since the majority of the game's tiles are plains provinces, you're getting a buff no matter where you stand, basically. And that's why Manstein is so good, too. He's got plains fighting. It's why I prefer Guderian over Rommel. I prefer Guderian over Rommel for multiple reasons. This plains fighting is so much better than desert fighting. Because, I mean, you're most likely going to be using him in Europe or Asia. And the majority of the desert provinces are here. Now, there are some in here and in here. So there are desert provinces mixed throughout the game, but a lot of what the desert is down here. I find it not worth it because there's not that much in Africa. When I think of Africa campaigns, I think of Paris spamming troops and just taking out level 1 cities. I don't think of sending a general down there. Unless it's a tank general to mop things up, but at that point, there's no other generals down there. So that's the main difference. But then the thing, and this wasn't supposed to be about this, but this is just something I wanted to point out. Ace Forces is a perk I really don't care for. Blitzkrieg is a much better perk. Avoids retaliation when commanding army units, 24% chance to trigger. This is why Guderian's better than Rommel. It's this perk coupled with this, but it's really this perk that makes the difference between them. Rommel's got this anti-armor perk. Anti-armor is a great perk. I don't really know if I want it on a tank general. I prefer the anti-armor on infantry and artillery, because you're going to be fighting tanks more like that than tank on tank. I mean, that's my personal opinion on it. So I prefer this on an artillery general. But if you're going to put it on tank, this is level 1. 3 deals 3 additional damage to enemy armored units. That's nothing. I definitely prefer it. If you're going to use that, if you're going to have that perk, it's so much better to have that on an actual, it's so much better to just have that on an actual general than, like an artillery or infantry general than tank. So this wasn't supposed to be between these two, but I just wanted to point it out why I prefer Guderian over Rommel, because I also had that conversation with a subscriber who asked me to make this video. Back to base generals. Why get Badaglio over a general like List, or a general like Fletcher, or even Osawa, I think is his name, over in the Japanese camp, Osawa. Yeah, why get those generals over that? Well, to start off clearing some space immediately, land units are just more versatile. They do take a severe buff when fighting in the sea, but an infantry general can step on every single tile in the game. Navy generals can only be in the sea. And you might think, what's the big deal about this? Well, if you're playing as Japan in 1939, you crush the United States, alright? You go over here, you take Alaska, you come down through Canada, you just mop it up, alright? You mopping your way through this area, too. Your Navy is really helpful in the beginning against America. Once you take out Australia, and once you take out the US, now you gotta go over here and take out the UK. The problem with that, you'd have to go through Mexico and around the other side of the Atlantic, or you have to go through this route here. It just takes longer to move your naval generals through the game, which is why I've never been a big fan of naval generals, because you're limited by space. You're limited by tiles that you can step on. That's my main problem with it, but that's not my only problem with things like artillery generals. So then when you're comparing some of those other generals that I mentioned, like List, I think List is the most comparable tank general to Badoglio. Just as I don't know, I still haven't found a good infantry general to compare to him. No, I don't have a good infantry general to compare. List, though, I think is one of the more comparable tank general to Badoglio, but not really. Let's just look at List, though. Level 3 marching ability, awesome. You want marching ability no matter what unit, especially on artillery and infantry. But even on tanks, movement is helpful. You never say no to movement. Level 4 Panzer ability, awesome. Level 3 infantry ability, also awesome. And this is where I like List. Is we're going to look at his perks in a second. He has these 3 stars in infantry and 4 stars on Panzer, but all his perks apply to Panzer. What I like about that is that they're focusing on tank general, but these 3 stars make him applicable as an infantry general. You can play him on infantry because he's got these 3 stars. He doesn't have any perks for it, but if you're doing one of these, hold the ground, or rescue the ally, or breakthrough encirclement, wipe out the enemy, there's hold the ground. If you're doing any of those, it's not a bad general, because you can put him on infantry there. He doesn't have any perks for it, but you can still play him on infantry, and that's kind of what I like about him. Now, to look at the perks themselves. Level 2 Blitzkrieg, already mentioned. Love that perk. Obviously, you wish it's level 4, but you get what you get. Tide of Iron. It's an okay tank perk. Level 1 Explosives. I've already expressed my enjoyment of that perk. So, when you look at these perks, he's got similar perks to, like, Guderian, and even, in a sense, he's got similar perks to Badoglio. I mean, when we look at Badoglio's perks, they're pretty similar. He doesn't have the equivalent of Artillery Leader, but he's got the equivalent of Artillery Barrage. He's got that Tide of Iron. And he's also got this Explosives. Oh, I'm sorry, no, he does. He does have... No, he doesn't. He's got Blitzkrieg instead. I'm losing my mind. I'd rather have, I think, Blitzkrieg than Panzer Leader. That's just me, though. So, to just start moving, to keep moving, so he's similar. Why don't I get List over Badoglio? Well, first of all, Badoglio gives you 70 more health, and you really want that health on an artillery general. But the other reason why I don't get, and their price is different, is about 200, maybe 160. Actually, I think it's actually 170 exactly, but whatever. I don't get List because I prefer the artillery. And some of you might say, "Oh, you don't get List because you already got Manstein." Yeah, but if you've been watching the series, I haven't used him for any of the campaigns. So, no. It's not because of this. Although that is a factor. If you already have a tank general, you're more likely to get an artillery or infantry general, because it doesn't make sense to double up on 2 really good tank generals, unless you get later in the game and then you can start getting generals like Guderian. But early game, when most people don't have generals, you look at Badoglio. So there's some of my takes. Artillery is just a better unit than tank. Artillery is really overpowered. That range attack is incredible. And if you have a really good artillery general, like, I want to look at Konyev, because Konyev is one of my favorite artillery generals. Level 4 Artillery Leader, great perk. Level 3 Artillery Barrage, great perk. like Govorov, he's got 2 of these great perks. Then he's got this anti-armor, level 2. Deals 6 additional damage to enemy army units. I love that perk. I wish it was higher, but level 2, it's better than level 1. Of course. So great perks. Similar to Govorov. Govorov's got explosives, he's got anti-armor. Alright, whatever. We can debate that, I'm not going to. So there. So he's similar there. Then we diverge a bit. He doesn't have plains fighting. He doesn't have any of the terrain fighting. Instead, he's got level 2 bayonet charge and level 3 raider. What these mean is that if one wanted to, he has 4 stars in infantry, and he's got these two. These are 2 really good infantry perks. So he's got the perks, and he's got 4 stars in infantry. If one wanted to, one could play him on infantry. Now, unless you're out of your mind, or you're in a specific campaign, or one of those hold the grounds or whatever, most of you are going to play him on artillery because he's much better. Why is he better than Govorov on artillery? It's these 3 marching ability. This is why he's better. These 3 stars here make the difference. Because artillery is slow. That's why Konev is better than Govorov. That's why I prefer Konev over Govorov. Govorov's a great general, but he's slow. You need that movement, and Govorov provides that. Konev provides that movement. There's one other general I wanted to point out in here. Okay, for some reason Malinovsky hits like a truck. I don't know why, but he hits pretty good. But he also dies very fast. I'm thinking of 1943. Moving on. Vatutin was a general I wanted to quickly highlight. He's a Russian general who's got 5 stars on tank. He's got 3 really good perks, and this is, again, I don't prefer supply on tank generals. I prefer supply on naval generals. I think it was made for naval. It was probably made for generals sitting in cities, but I prefer it for naval generals because that's the only way for them to gain health back. He's nowhere near the level of Guderian. So, some people might look to him as a cheaper alternative. Again, he's cheaper because he's not on the same level at all. This should be self-explanatory. Don't go to Paris for a general. No movement stars here. And absolutely garbage perks for an artillery general. He's got some stars and level 2 movement. There's just better generals you could get, so don't go to the French one. There's really only a couple. I mean, he's not. Don't get him either if you're gonna get naval generals. There's really, other than what's his name? The air general. And I can't remember what his name is, but the air general up here. He's the only other general. He's the only general I really would consider getting from London. I would just in general avoid some of these smaller ones, like London, Paris. I avoid Nanking because I don't play. Chinese generals are whack. Avoid that. New York's got some good generals, but most of them are Navy. But they do got a couple good other generals, like Bradley. He's not a bad general. Halsey's not a bad. Halsey's a really good general. Clark's not a bad general. There's just better generals out there, which is why I don't go there. I also wanted to quick point out Mannerheim. He's knowing what history I do know, he's one of my favorite generals, even though he's really not that good. But to me, he's kind of like underdog story. I do enjoy a good Mannerheim. This is a brilliant perk. This perk is awesome. The idea is that he was in the Winter War, so the supply and the fortification and the camouflage, it's referencing that. He's not a general you'd actually want to consider getting, but I do like him. He's that Finnish general. I just wanted to point that out too. I'm a little bit of a sucker for that. But so yeah, when looking at generals, it's all up to personal preference and how you play your game. And I feel like I haven't said that yet in the video, but it's an important thing to point out. When looking to get a general, it's all about what your playstyle is. How you play the game. If you prefer to blitz them with tanks versus spam them with artillery, that's completely fine. In Conquest, it doesn't matter how you play, because you have plenty of rounds. In campaign's a little different, but like I said, generals depend on how you like to play the game. Now, if as you're trying to play through the Conquest, that's a bit different. Like I don't remember ever fully getting through the Alien years. Um, but like I said, the aliens come after so many different things. So those are some of my takes on generals who you should get. Oh, Doubting is his name. Doubting, he's a general who could potentially form an heir. Or Montgomery is also a general you could look at getting, but he's just it's not me. So thanks for watching. If you want me to do more videos like this, let me know. I will certainly make more videos on it. I have no problem making. Like I said, this is all my opinion. It's not. I'm not looking at facts. I'm not analyzing things. This is my personal experience, my like off of my memory, what has worked for me. And so that's all I'm trying to do right now. Just let you know, this looks work for me. This is what I've done. So thanks for watching. If you like this kind of stuff, check out the other stuff on the channel. Check out the Hearts of Iron series. That's definitely something to look at. Check out the other campaign videos here. If you got any recommendations for me, let me know. Any comments, questions, leave them down in the comments. It's very helpful. That's how I got the suggestion to do this video. So yeah, thanks for watching. We will see you soon.